Chapter 156. Who is this young man? He looks so handsome. They came in and sat down on the sofa. She sat, and he bent. At this moment, the distance between the two of them was close enough to feel each other's breath. He was already unable to suppress his passion from the start. At this moment she was so innocent. Her big eyes stared at his face and sized it up. What are you looking at? At the moment, William Walton's throat was a bit hoarse. He knew why. She lifted her hand and poked his eyelashes twice. Then she smiled. Your eyelashes are really long. They're really pretty. William Walton's breathing became heavier. Only my eyelashes look good? She leaned back and said gently. Not many men would have such beautiful eyes. Anything else? Her fingers slowly slid down to his lips. Your lips are so red. She licked her lips. It's like you used lipstick. As she spoke, she chuckled, and her gaze landed on him again. Who are you? You're so handsome. As she spoke, she raised her head and shouted, Hey, there's a handsome brother in my house. Come quickly and take a look. Who is he? Before she could finish her sentence, her lips were firmly sealed by his kiss. She leaned her head back against the back of the couch. Her lips moved, and his body followed. His hand restlessly held hers as she was about to push it away. His lips slid to her ear. Do you want such a handsome man? As she looked at him, her cheeks blushed even more. Do you want money? My mother said that there's nothing in this world that is free of charge. Free, he said and kissed her again. However, this time his kiss was not as gentle as before. After all, what he wanted to take down wasn't just her lips. William Walton placed her down on the sofa naturally, as he moved his hands and legs restlessly towards her. She was holding on to the little doll bear tightly. William Walton's touch made her lose his helmet and take off her armor little by little. She slowly wrapped her arms around his neck, encouraging him. He guided her perfectly, igniting her little by little, making her unable to resist him. Her brain had always been muddled, but now she felt even more dizzy. She couldn't tell if this was a dream or if it was real. But whether it was a dream or real, she couldn't stop herself. She only felt that she was very tired, very sleepy. In her dreams, someone picked her up and scrubbed her body before bringing her to the bed. In her dreams, there seemed to be someone who gently embraced her and said, "Good night" to her. This voice was very familiar, but also seemed very unfamiliar. In her dreams, there seemed to be someone who pulled her back into his embrace when she was about to fall to the ground, saying, "This sleeping posture of yours is truly life-threatening." In her sleep, she couldn't remember. When her cell phone rang, she turned around and searched around for her cell phone. However, she didn't manage to touch the phone. Instead, she touched a body. Her hands slid down, and she opened her eyes in shock. What she saw was William Walton's flawless, beautiful side profile as he slept. She retracted her hand and abruptly sat up. It was no longer a surprise that he was sleeping by her side. However, he was naked. She swallowed her saliva and looked at him. William Walton calmly opened his eyes as if nothing had happened last night. Good morning. She swallowed her saliva before replying. Morning. She pointed at him. You? Why are you not wearing any clothes? How about you? It was only then that she felt a chill on her body. She lowered her head to take a look, and hurriedly covered herself with the blanket. She wore nothing. It didn't matter if she didn't move. Only after she moved, she felt that all the bones in her body seemed to be shattered. Needless to say, she knew what had happened last night. After all, she had experienced it once. She closed her eyes, remembering only that she had gone to dinner with the headmaster last night. Then, during the dinner, she drank. She vaguely remembered he agreed to the principal's request. As for what happened afterwards, it's over. She forgot everything. She bit her lips. She knew well that she would be mad if she was drunk. So why did she insist on drinking in front of William Walton? William Walton sat up and rubbed her head. Don't look so regretful. If you do this, I will feel like I didn't serve you well last night. Don't talk about it, she said with some embarrassment and shyness in her voice. William Walton laughed. You forgot about it again? She bit her lips. You don't know. What will I do after being drunk? I'm honored to have seen it 3 times. Each time I was completely shocked. She found it hard to say. Last night, I took the initiative again. As a man, I think I should tell you that we both enjoyed it. She sighed. You know what I'm like after being drunk. Why? Why didn't you leave me alone? Since I know it, I can't leave you alone. I can't let you run all over the street, pounce on other men. No matter what, you are going to go insane because of alcohol. It's not like we haven't slept together before. It's better to sleep with me than sleep with someone caught casually on the street. She scratched her forehead in embarrassment. William Walton gave a calm smile and rubbed her head. Don't be too pressured. I won't force you to do anything because of what happened last night. As long as you don't want to, I won't force you in the future. I was also wrong, but at that time, you take the initiative, so I won't apologize to you. What do you think? She lowered her eyes and stared at the peony flower on the blanket. Her palms were covered in sweat. He laughed. I know, it would be awkward for you if I sit here. I'll go take a shower first. Calm down for a while. I'll wash before you do it, She nodded, not daring to look at him. William Walton got up and walked into the bathroom without hiding anything. She didn't even dare to look up. The moment the bathroom door closed, she slapped her forehead. After sleeping with him for another night, what should she do? She always did such weird thing after drinking. What was she trying to do? The thought of the two of them being close to each other last night made her flustered. Their relationship started since she drunk for first time and slept with him. She had thought their relationship would finish someday. However, now it happened again. She really didn't know what to do in the future. Hearing the sound of water splashing in the bathroom, she thought for a moment, then directly lifted off the quilt, got out of bed, put on her clothes, and left home with her bag on her back. Forget about it. The most important thing is escaping. Chapter 157. William Walton, you bastard. After exiting the room, she suddenly remembered, why did they return here last night? Wasn't there a reporter at the door? She didn't know if they had been filmed. At a time like this, if she went out with him, it would be even more dangerous. She took a breath, sent him a text, and left. Stepping into the elevator, she bent down and patted her leg. Why she felt guilty? Could it be? She really was his. Thinking of this, her face turned even redder. When William Walton finished his shower, he realized that she had escaped. He couldn't help but turned his head to the side and smiled. It seemed like she didn't understand that she could never escape. He calmly wiped his hair as he walked over to the bed and picked up his cell phone. He was going to call her, but he saw that she had sent him a text message. He opened the text message and read a few words. In order to avoid being secretly photographed by the reporters, I'll be leaving first. Be careful when you leave. William Walton raised his eyebrows and dialed her number. Only after hesitating for a long time did she pick up the phone. Hello. Where are you? At the entrance to the sector? Stand there. Don't move. I need to go to school first. I'll be late. William Walton raised his eyebrows. Are you sure? Yeah, I'll hang up first, she said, and of course she was sure. Don't blame me for anything that happened at school. Laura was confused. What could happen to her? Now if she was standing in front of him, she would feel extremely awkward. She came to the bus stop. She had originally planned to take the bus, but when she thought that William Walton would probably drive by later, she simply extended her hand to stop a taxi. Because she left rather early today and saved breakfast time, when she arrived at school, it was only 7:15. There weren't many people in the school, but the 3 students who had walked past her all looked at her neck. She wondered what the students were looking at. After walking far away, she did not think any more about it. She entered the office and poured herself a cup of warm water to drink. As she was hungry, she took out her meal card and was about to go out to eat, but Mia opened the door and came in. Seeing Mia, she smiled warmly. Mia, why are you so early? I have an appointment with a classmate in a bit. There's something I need to talk about. Mia said as her gaze landed on her neck. Seeing how Mia was looking at her neck with an embarrassed expression, she frowned and touched her neck. Mia, what's wrong? You. Mia hesitated for a moment and then pointed at her neck. It's pretty intense, right? Huh? After stunned for a while, she suddenly turned around as if she remembered something. She took out her bag and quickly found a small mirror. She opened it and looked at her neck. At that moment, she really wanted to dig a hole in the ground. On the front of her neck there were 5 or 6 hickeys. Not to mention others. Thinking about what William Walton said when he called her, she was so annoyed that she wanted to stamp her feet on him. He clearly saw it. Couldn't he have told her just now? He was too bad. This was too embarrassing. Seeing her regret, Maya guessed that she did not know the bites on her neck. She took off her scarf and put it on her neck. Miss Green, today's weather is bad. You wear few clothes? I bought this scarf recently. It's a new one, so it's pretty clean. You can use it first. She looked at Mia and said with some embarrassment, Mia, thank you so much. Mia patted her shoulder. We're both working in the same office. There's no need to be polite. She went back to her desk, picked up her papers, and left. She took a deep breath and took the meal card to the cafeteria. When she was eating, she had wanted to call William Walton and ask why he hadn't told her. However, just as she took out her phone, she met Gary. Gary carried his plate and sat down opposite of Laura. He said in surprise, Ah, Miss Green, it's the first time I've touched you in the canteen. She smiled warmly and said, I usually cook for myself in the past, but today I was a bit lazy. That's why I came out to eat. The two finished their meal and returned to the office together. Sabrina had just arrived and saw her scarf. She said, Hey, isn't that the scarf that Mia was wearing yesterday? Her hands caressed her neck. That's right, I went out today and wore too little. When I first came to school, I coincidentally bumped into Mia and borrowed her scarf. Mia, a person with a good figure will be suitable for any clothes. Look, when Mia wore the scarf yesterday, I already felt that it was very ordinary. But when you put it on Miss Green today, you instantly understood what's called a buyer's show and a seller's show. Gary laughed. Because she is beautiful? Looking at her, Sabrina stepped forward and said, Tsk, Miss Green, you're so pretty. If you wear this scarf, I'd like to buy a similar one. Come, give it a try. I want to see if I'm suitable for this style. Seeing Sabrina walk over, she covered her scarf nervously and said, Sabrina, this scarf doesn't suit you. As soon as she finished speaking, she realized that she might offend someone. As expected, Sabrina's expression turned cold. Gary looked at her, but didn't say anything. Sabrina was displeased. Miss Green, I know you are beautiful. This is universally acknowledged in the entire school, but you don't need to look down on us ordinary people, right? No, Sabrina, you misunderstood me. This scarf's color doesn't suit your skin color. I just happened to buy a new one. That color doesn't suit me. I think it's very suitable for you. If you don't mind, I'll bring it for you to try tomorrow, okay? Hearing her words, Sabrina pouted. There is a scarf that you're not suitable for? Of course, there are too many. No one will be suitable for every cloth. That's true. If I were to wear this color, I might indeed appear old. Sabrina was relieved. She returned to her desk and sat down. Just as she returned to her seat and was about to sit, she heard Sabrina said that, Miss Green, don't forget to bring a scarf here tomorrow. All right, I won't forget. She nodded and smiled as she sat down. But in her heart, she was secretly thinking, William Walton, you bastard. I am harmed by him. I have to go out and buy a scarf tonight. Chapter 158, My Brother Earl. When she arrived at the school gate after work in the afternoon, the driver was already waiting for her. She walked over and said, Mike, you can go back first. I need to go to the shopping mall, and I can go back by myself. I'll send you over. No need. I might want to stroll around for a while. I'll just take a taxi back then. Miss Green, if Mr. Walton finds out that I can't get you and took an empty car back myself, he'll be furious and fire me. He won't. Please, Miss Green. I've already been warned once. This is my job. If I don't make it, then it would be a dereliction of duty. Since she didn't want to make things difficult for him, she had no choice but to get in the car. Just as she reached the entrance of the mall, William Walton called. She curled her lips and didn't answer. She had planned to ask him why he didn't remind her about the bite on her neck. However, when she thought that he did it on purpose, she became a little sulky and didn't want to talk to him. After entering the shopping mall, she walked around and arrived at a shop selling accessories. She then focused on picking up the scarf. After buying the scarf, she paid for it and bought a mango lemon juice at the juice store next door. Someone slapped her on the shoulder as she waited in line to get her drink. She turned her head and was so surprised she could barely speak when she saw his face. The handsome boy on the opposite side smiled warmly at her. It's you, Laura? Just a glance from afar, and I already know it's you. She covered her lips with a gentle hand, her voice trembling a little. Big brother? Fortunately, you still recognize me. I thought you had forgotten about me for a long time. She looked at him with unblinking eyes. This man called Earl had once stirred up her entire girlhood. Even if he turned to dust, she would probably recognize him. Her face slightly blushed. Earl, aren't you? Abroad? I've been back for half a month. I was planning to take some time to meet you and Auntie Green. I really miss Auntie Green's cooking. At the mention of her mother, her heart tightened. She lowered her eyes and looked at him with a wry smile. My mother is gone. He asked. She left? Where did she go? When Earl saw her expression, he suddenly realized, how could that be? She chuckled. She's depressed and committed suicide. Earl frowned and said with a pained heart, how could you survive? When my mom left, I was 18. I already had the ability to take care of myself, so I didn't die. Earl patted her shoulder. All these years it's hard for you. What are you doing now? She scratched her forehead. After I graduated from university this year, I stayed in our school to be a teacher. I remember that when you were young, you said that you would become a teacher when you grow up. It seems that your wish has been fulfilled. Laura nodded. Yes, that's right, Earl. Why are you here? Do you want to buy something? I work in this shopping mall, Earl said as he scratched her nose, just like how he did when she was young. Do you want to buy something? Let's go. I'll accompany you for a stroll. Earl, I'm here to buy a scarf for my colleague in the same office. I've already finished. I'm not busy. Why don't you come out to dinner with me tonight? We can have a nice reminiscence about the old days. She was just about to respond when her cell phone rang again. She knew who it was and hung up. Just as she threw the phone back into her bag, it rang again. She had not intended to answer the call, but Earl pointed to her bag instead. Laura looked at him with an awkward smile, then helplessly took out her phone once again to answer it. William Walton's clear and cold voice came from the other end of the phone. It looks like Miss Green does indeed have the physique to attract bees and butterflies. No matter where you go, I won't be able to rest at ease. Hearing William Walton's words, she frowned and turned her head to scan around. Seeing that she seemed to be looking for something, Earl followed her gaze and looked around. Laura nodded towards Earl and walked to the side. She said softly, Where are you? Where I can clearly see you chatting and laughing with other men. So what if you saw it? I came to find you out of good intentions, and you're just going to show me this. To be honest, Laura, I am so jealous of you guys. I want to hit someone now, and who do you think I am going to hit? Don't be reckless. Then I'll give you 5 minutes. Say goodbye to the other party and come downstairs quickly. I'll be waiting for you in the car outside. Why should I listen to you? She refused. Tonight, I'm going out to eat with my friend. 5 minutes, changed to 3 minutes. If you don't come down, you have to bear the consequences. In the resting room not far away, William Walton hung up the phone and looked at the two people in front of him coldly. Who is this man? When she spoke to him, The shy and timid expression on her face made him feel very unhappy. He had never realized that she also had such an appearance. His intuition told him that this man wasn't simple to be gentle with. A busy tone came from the other end of the phone, causing Laura to feel depressed. This domineering and unreasonable fellow. She turned around and walked in front of Earl. Earl laughed. Why are you so angry? Who dares to provoke you? No, she shook her head. Earl, I won't be able to eat with you tonight. What, did your boyfriend call just now? He is worried about you? No, she laughed. It's just that I have some things to do tonight, so I need to go and take care of them. Since she said that, Earl naturally could not force her. He nodded and patted her shoulder. Okay, we'll meet again tonight. Tell me your cell phone number since I'm back. Let's keep in touch. Of course, if you have a boyfriend, you can introduce me to him and let him know that you still have a brother protecting you. Laura pursed his lips and exchanged phone numbers with him. Earl said that he would send her downstairs, but he didn't dare let him down. Earl, I will leave by myself. Since we have a way to contact each other, we will contact each other more often in the future, she said as she shook her mobile phone. Since you are still in the shopping mall at this time, you might have things to do. Bye then. She waved hand to him and walked toward the elevator. Earl watched her leave before walking forward. Mike's car disappeared. Instead, William Walton's car was there. Feeling depressed, she angrily walked over, opened the door, and got in. After she sat down, she did not even look at William Walton, as she was obviously angry. Chapter 159. Who was that man? William crossed his arms and looked at her. She turned to look at the scenery through the window. William Walton raised his eyebrows and said to the driver, Thomas, take a taxi and go back first. Yes, Mr. Walton. The driver got out of the car and left. There were only 2 people left in the carriage. William Walton asked, Who is that man? She didn't look at him. It doesn't seem to have anything to do with you. You want me to investigate him myself? She turned her head and stared at him. William Walton, what are you trying to do? I want to ask you this, Laura. What do you want to do? As a man who has slept with you before, I don't even have the qualifications to ask you, who is the man you are chatting with? William Walton felt very defeated. He had held this woman in his hands, but in her eyes, he would never be able to exist. You also know that I slept with you. Why didn't you tell me there was hickeys on my neck in the morning? I called you and told you not to move. What do you think was the reason I wanted to find you, even though I knew you would be embarrassed when you saw me? This kind of thing. Can you explain it clearly over the phone? She stared at him. You only need to remind me. Why do you have to make me lose face when I go to school? So, you will lose your face because you have a man, or you will lose face because you slept with me? Thus, if you sleep with others, it will be fine? It's not shameful to sleep with that man just now? You? Her face was red with anger. She opened the door to get out, but William Walton grabbed her wrist. He rolled over on top of her and held her down. Where do you want to go? I don't want to stay with you anymore. Let go of me. No, I'm not, he said, raising his eyebrows in triumph. If you have the ability, then you can struggle and escape from my suppression. Her face was flushed red. William Walton, you bastard, you bully me. William Walton raised his eyebrows. I have bullied a lot of people. But everyone has the qualifications to say that I bully people except you. After all, I am the one who treats you well, and even I am surprised with my kindness. You only know how to mess with me. You lied to me? Is it so hard to say one more word on the phone? William Walton realized that the reason why she was so angry wasn't because of him. He had thought that what angered her the most was that he had not allowed her to eat with other men. However, it was obvious that she cared more about the matter of the hickeys. He took her face in his hands and looked down at her. I gave you a choice this morning. You chose to leave and avoid me. No one forced you to leave, right? You're bad, she said and turned her head to avoid his eyes. But he turned her face back again and made her look at him. Last night, someone hugged me and said that I was a good person. That person misjudged last night. She is now regretting it. I only know that you speak the truth after you drank alcohol. He raised his eyebrows. I really don't understand why you would be angry when they see the hickey. If they do, you can openly admit that you have a man. Is it a sin to have sex at your age? Or are you so angry because I'm not the person you want? Her face turned red because he made her angry. Seeing that she was silent, William Walton asked again. That man from earlier, who exactly is he? With a grunt, she turned her face to the side. She didn't want to talk to him now. William Walton nodded. Okay, you won't say it? Still leaning on her, he pulled out his cell phone and dialed his secretary's number. Daniel, send someone to look for the surveillance cameras on the 2nd floor of Grand City's merchant shop. I give you half an hour to investigate the information of a man who chatted with Laura over 10 minutes ago. Before he even finished speaking, she patted William Walton's hand. She quickly snatched his phone away and hung up, roaring. William Walton, are you crazy? He only spoke a few words with me. Why do you investigate him? William Walton smirked. Because the person he's talking to is you. Do you want to investigate all the men who talk to me in the future? You know very well whether this man is different from other men. Inwardly, she avoided his sight. William Walton was even more furious. This woman wouldn't lie. His voice turned colder. So, do you want to say it yourself, or do you want me to investigate him? It makes no difference to me anyway. Her stifled chest heaved violently. William Walton's gaze drooped down, just in time to see her chest. He couldn't help but be a little impulsive. When she felt that he had changed, she was a bit worried. She hurriedly said, "You, come down, I'll tell you." William Walton also did not want himself to suffer. He turned around and sat properly. "Call Daniel first, and tell him not to investigate." William Walton complied with her and made a call. After hanging up, she said, "That person is called Earl. Before I was 11, he was our neighbor." "Just neighbors?" "Whether you want to believe me or not, I'm not lying," she said. "At that time, his parents were very busy, and he was often alone at home. After living with them for a long time, when his parents knew that our family was in financial difficulties, they would occasionally ask my mother to take care of Earl when they were on business trip, and they would give my mother some money. Sometimes, he was good at study. His parents always came home late, and he would come to my house to get some food. After eating, he would help me with my studies, and at that time, Earl was just like my closest and dearest brother to me. I really liked him." "Like him?" Her eyes rolled towards him. "Don't use your dirty thoughts to guess my feelings at that time. At that time, I was in elementary school, not as many twists and turns as you think." William Walton coldly snorted. "You aren't in primary school anymore, but when you saw him, your smile was like a blossoming flower. What's this? Aren't you happy when you see your loved ones that you've been separated from for so many years?" William Walton coldly snorted. "I won't." "Who would believe that?" "I believe you," William Walton said in a firm tone. "I'm not a prisoner. The current you, in my eyes, is no different from a woman who cheated her husband." "You, cut the crap, continue." After all, she had never won. "Later on, when I was 10 years old, due to John Anderson's frequent harassment, my mother was unwilling to accept it, so she brought me here to move. After that, in the span of a year, I had only seen Earl twice." "How do you remember the matters from 10 years ago so clearly?" Chapter 160, Jealous. She gently frowned. "Don't mess around. I already said that I liked him at that time, because I didn't see him often. Of course, I remember him clearly. You're not allowed to repeat the word like again." His eyes were cold and jealous. "Continue." She felt depressed. Wasn't this what you wanted her to say? Did she have to hide half of it now? At that time, she liked the Earl. Why should she lie? "I met him twice that year. The first time was during the New Year. He came to my house to deliver some things on behalf of his parents. In the past, Uncle and Auntie used to help us a lot. The second time was when he came to my house to get some food after his SAT test, and he told me that he was going to study abroad. I haven't seen him since then. It's been over a decade since we've last met. Looks like it's a pity to say goodbye for more than 10 years. She said to him. "Don't carry a gun clip." He said depressingly. "Then when did you guys recover contact?" "We haven't been in contact." "Liar, if you didn't contact each other, would you have been caught by me today?" "What do you mean by caught by you? Don't make it sound so bad." "This is fate. Speaking of which, this is really fate that you gave me. If you had told me this morning that I had hickeys on my neck, I would have gone home and changed into a high-necked dress," she said. "If I had changed my clothes, I wouldn't have to wear our office Mia scarf just because I was afraid to be laughed at. If I didn't wear the Mia scarf, Sabrina wouldn't have wanted to try it on. I didn't dare to take it off and said something to offend Sabrina. I had to say, this scarf's color isn't suitable for her. I have a newly bought scarf that isn't suitable for me, but is very suitable for Sabrina. Tomorrow I will bring it to school to give it to her." In order to make a complete lie, I had no choice but to get off work to buy a scarf. Coincidentally, after buying a scarf, I was waiting. I forgot it." She patted her head as if she had just remembered something important. "What's wrong?" William Walton frowned. She was depressed. "It's all your fault. You're urging meso. I forgot the juice I bought in line." William Walton was speechless. "Why is it fruit juice again?" "I was thirsty after I bought the scarf, so I queued up to buy a glass of fruit juice. I paid up, and just when I was about to take the fruit juice, I coincidentally met the Earl." William Walton said in disbelief. "So you met him by chance?" "Of course. That's why I said it, the new fate with the Earl is because of you." William Walton was secretly unhappy. "So you guys just exchanged numbers?" She pursed her lips and smiled. "Of course." "Give me your phone." Laura hid her bag to the side. "What are you trying to do? Do you want to delete his number?" "I want to see what name he has in your phone." She was calm. "No need to look. I named his name as Brother Earl." William Walton was furious. So the name of a rich big brother, the foolish son of the principal and the third young master of the owner family, was what she called himself and the two annoying men. The man she liked was called Brother Earl? William Walton looked at her coldly. "In your eyes, that Earl is the person you like, but I am as annoying as Nick Anderson and that Avery?" She calmly replied. "I didn't say my brother is annoying." What kind of logic was this? Why did she have to hate her brother? William Walton's face darkened, gritted his teeth. "Does that mean you only hate me and Avery Harris?" "When did I ever say I hated you?" She didn't say that, but wasn't her performance obvious enough? Give me your cell phone, he said, opening his palm in front of her. He was angry, really angry. It was the first time in his life that he was so angry because of a woman, and now he wanted to scold someone. He knew that if she didn't give it to him, he would definitely think of a way to get it. Thus, she directly handed the phone to him. I'm not lying to you. William Walton found her phone book and pulled out Brother Earl. He clicked on the edit button and quickly changed the name to The Neighbor's Son before returning the phone to her. She took a glance at it and frowned. William Walton, why are you touching other people's phones? You are not allowed to change it back. Once I find out that you secretly changed it, I will make you do it 100 times over with what happened last night. She glared at him, but his lips curled into a domineering smile. He opened the door and got out, then went to the driver's seat. He looked back at her. Come and sit with me. She frowned and replied in a displeased manner. I'm not going. Or do you want to sit here all night? Then I'll accompany you. She got off the car and went to the front passenger seat. The car started up and left the entrance of the shopping mall. William Walton said, In the future, don't mention the words Brother Earl in front of me. You are no longer a little girl of 10 years old. Don't call a man like you did when you were 10. That is disgusting. Understand? She looked at him. Why do you have so many problems? William Walton raised the center of his brows. I'm just like this. She was really unlucky to know such an unreasonable man like William Walton. When they returned to the villa, Thomas, who had called a taxi to come back, was waiting at the entrance. Seeing that the carriage had arrived, he immediately went forward and opened the door for Laura and William Walton. William Walton got off the carriage and said to Laura, who was about to enter the villa, Oh yeah, I brought your sister back here. Put her in the trunk. You go and get her yourself. What? She puzzled and she looked at him. What are you talking about? Go take a look. William Walton said as he pushed the door open and entered first. She walked to the trunk. Thomas stepped forward and helped her open the trunk. In the clean trunk, there was a little bear puppet. Wasn't it the cloth puppet she saw on the big city home sofa this morning? At that time, although she felt that this little bear looked a little familiar, she didn't think too much about it in order to slip away. When she saw this little thing again, a strange scene flashed through her mind. She picked up the doll and stared at it for a moment. She looked at Thomas at the side. Last night seemed to be the night when he sent William Walton to the clubhouse. Thomas, last night, was it you who sent me and Mr. Walton to the big city home? Yes, Miss Green. Then do you know what's going on with this little bear? Miss Green, this little bear is yours. You drank too much last night. You asked for it and let Mr. Walton buy it for you. She pointed at her heart. I asked for it? Yes. The shop was closed, but you insisted on buying it. After Mr. Walton agreed to give it to you, he called his secretary and told him to find the owner to open the door. In the end, you said that Mr. Walton had broken his promise and made you wait. Mr. Walton didn't want to disappoint you, so he used a brick to smash the glass in the shop. That's how he gave you this little bear. She was so shocked that she couldn't speak. Was she crazy at that time?